Today we are doing expanding brackets and factorising expressions. So starting with expanding. Expanding brackets means that we'll have brackets in our question, like example 1 here, and we want to get rid of them. Now to get rid of them or expand them, whatever is out the front has to multiply by each term inside the bracket. So we multiply the 2 with the x to get 2x. Then we have this plus sign from the middle of the bracket there. And then we multiply the 2 with the 3 to get 6. And that's it. The brackets are gone. It has been expanded. Let's try again for example 2. Multiply the 5 with each term inside the bracket. 5 times 4 makes 20 with the y. Then we have the minus sign in the middle. And 5 times 6 is 30. Doing it again, question 3. 3k multiplied by m would be 3k and m. So the letters just all collect up there at the end. Then we have a minus sign. 3k times 7k. 3 times 7 is 21. And the k times the k makes a k squared. Question 4. This is a bit tricky. We're going to look out for these ones that have the minus sign in between. Because all these other ones, if it was a plus here, it was a plus there. Minus here, minus there. Minus there, minus there. But when there's a minus sign at the front, it will change the symbol when you expand it out. So this is going to be 2a times 4a. So minus 2, sorry. Minus 2 times 4 is minus 8. A times a is a squared. Now this next part, the part that's a bit tricky. We go minus 2 times 3, which is minus 6, and then ab. Okay, so see how we have changed, was a plus here and has become a minus. And that happens when there is a minus sign at the front of the bracket. It changes the symbol inside. Okay, so let's do another one of those. Question 5. Minus 5m times 3m. A minus times a plus makes a minus. 5 times 3 is 15. M times m is m squared. Then minus 5 times minus 2. 2 minuses times will make a plus 10. And we have m and an n. So again, the symbol was a minus here and it changed to a plus. And question 6. We have 4x times 2x. 4 times 2 is 8. X times x is x squared. Then 4x times y, we're still going to have the minus sign, will be 4xy. Okay, so those kind of questions were what we learnt in year 7. Probably a little bit trickier with more minus signs around. But we want to go a step further this year and have ones that have extra terms at the end. So we want to expand the brackets and then combine the like terms. So expanding first, we have 2 lines of working. First line, we're going to times the 4 into this bracket. 4 times 3 is 12x, then minus 4 times 8, which is 32. The plus 23 is not in the bracket, so don't multiply it. It's just sitting at the end, so plus 23. Okay, so I've done the expanding part. The second part is that we want to put the like terms together. And minus 32 plus 23 are constant terms that we can add together. So the 12x stays separate. Minus 32 plus 23, which you could do on your calculator if you want to, makes a negative 9. Let's try that again with question 8. Expanding out. 2 times 7 is 14, then minus 2 times 3t is 6t. Then the plus 2t is just sitting at the end. This time the t terms are the like terms. So 14 is going to stay out the front. Minus 6 plus 2 is negative 4t. All right, we're stepping it up another notch, so we probably put some stars next to these ones because these will be the hardest two of the expanding, because we have two brackets to expand. Okay, so let's get started. Just longer. 5x times 3 is going to be 15x, then minus 5x times 4, which is 20x squared. Okay, now we've finished that first bracket. Now we're moving on to the 2 that needs to times into the second bracket. So 2 times 6 is a positive 12x, then plus 2 times 4, which is 8. Okay, so looking for terms to collect, an x is different to an x squared, but the 15x can go with the 12x. So let's have 15 plus 12, which makes 27x. The minus 20x squared stays there, and then the 8 can go on the end. Okay, so question 10, another one of these ones with the two brackets. So let's times the 11v into that bracket. 11 times 2 is 22. Then we have a v and a w. Then we want to plus 11 times 5 is 55. And we also have the v from the front. To make this one even harder than the last one, we need to times a minus 3 into this bracket, which is going to mess with the symbol inside. So minus 3 times 8 is minus 24. Minus 3 times minus 5 is going to make a plus 15 VW. Okay, if we got this far, we now want to collect like terms. So 22 VW and 15 VW, they're like terms. So let's put them together. 22 plus 15 makes 37 VW. Then the 55V and the minus 24 stay on the end. Okay, so that is expanding, but there was also other parts of this section that we need to look at as well. So question 11 is practicing writing expressions again. So let's have a look at this. Write an expression for the following and then expand it. A number W is tripled. Okay, tripled means that you want to multiply it by 3. Now to multiply something by 3, you put the 3 in front. So there it is. I've tripled the W. So W is tripled, and then 2 is subtracted. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 2. The result, which means all that I have there, is now doubled. To double something, you want to times it by 2. But I have to times not just the 3W, I also need to times the minus 2. I want to times all of this by 2. We do that by putting a 2 in the front. Okay, so the question said to write an expression, which I did, but then it also said, now expand it, because we know how to expand. So expanding it, we get 2 times 3W, which is 6W, and then minus 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, question 12. This one needs a very big star. This is definitely a challenge question. We have learnt how to add fractions, but this has fractions in it that will also have brackets, and there'll be lots of things going on. Now, why this is a challenge question, this has come up before on exams, so it is something that is worth practicing. Okay, so 7 and 5 are the denominator. So our process for fractions is that when we're adding is that we times those two numbers together, which gives us a denominator of 35. Then we want to multiply the top of the first fraction with the bottom. But that means because there's two things on the top of that fraction, I have to put it in brackets. So 2x minus 1, like that. Then I multiply the 3x plus 2 with the 7. So that's going to need brackets as well. So I'm going to go plus 7 lots of 3x plus 2. Okay, so here comes the expanding. Now I'm going to go across the top of that fraction and expand those brackets out. 5 times 2x makes 10x, minus 5 times 1, which is 5. Then plus 7 times 3 is 21x, and 7 times 2 is plus 14. This still has to have a 35 on the bottom. It's just sitting there. Okay, then most of the time there are like terms that we can put together. So we can put 10x and 21x together, and also minus 5 and plus 14. So 10x plus 21x makes 31x, and minus 5 plus 14 makes a plus 9, and still all over 35. Okay, so a few tricky questions in there, but we are still not done. On to example 13, we finally get to the factorising part of this section. And factorising is putting things back into brackets. To do that, we have to be able to work out what the highest common factor is so that we can take it out the front of our bracket. Now, hopefully with a bit of practice, you'll be able to look at the numbers and be able to work out what the highest common factor is. But when you're first starting out, you might want to think back to year 7 and think about the factor lists that we used to make. So, for example, the number 20. If I want to know all the factors of 20, I start with 1 and I go 1 times 20 is 20. And I go to 2, 2 times 10 is 20. 3 doesn't work, but 4 times 5 makes 20. Okay, and that would be it, because 4 and 5 are right next to each other, so I've found all the factors of 20. Then I go to 25. I go, what are all the factors of 25? I could go 1 times 25. 2 doesn't work, 3 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work. And if you're not sure if a number works, you get your calculator and you go, oh, 25, can that be divided by 2? No, that gave a decimal number. I want it to go exactly. 3 doesn't work. 4 doesn't work. But 5 does. So 5 times 5 would be another pair of factors. So that's all the factors of 20 and 25, and I want the highest common factor of both. And the highest number that's in both of them is the 5. So HCF stands for highest common factor, and the highest common factor is 5. Let's try that again for part B. 18A and 24AB. So you have letters in here as well. But we're going to start with just the numbers. I'm going to start with 18 and 24 and try to find the factors of those numbers. So 18, we can do 1 times 18. We can do 2 times 9 makes 18. 3 times 6 makes 18. 4 times doesn't work. 5 times doesn't work. 6 is the next number there, so I have all the factors. Going on to 24, we can start with 1 times 24. Then we could do 2 times 12. 3 times 8 makes 24. And 4 works as well. 4 times 6 makes 24. 5 doesn't work, so that is all the factors of 24. So the highest common number factor that we can see in those lists, what can we see? The highest number. 2 is in both, 3 is in both, but 6, I think 6 is the highest number that's in both of those lists. So the highest common factor is going to be 6 for the number, but remember that there were letters up here. If there is an A in both of those terms, then A can come out as a common factor. If it's in both of them, if the letter is in both of them, it needs to come out as a factor. All right, let's try C. We have the number 12 and we have the number 15. So 12, we can have 1 times 12. We can have 2 times 6. We can have 3 times 4. And that's it. 15, we can have 1 times 15. We can have 2, nope, we can't have 2. We can have 3 times 5. 4 doesn't work, so that's all the factors. So the highest common factor is going to be, what's the biggest number we can see in the list? I think it's 3. So 3 for the number. Was there any letters in common? We have an x and an x squared. X squared means there's 2 x's there, but the common part would just be 1x that we could bring out of both of them. Because the first one didn't have 2, so I can't bring 2 out, but I can take one of them out of both. And D, we have 18 and we have 12. 18, we always start with 1 times, so 1 times 18. We can do 2 times 9. We can do 3 times 6. 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, so 6 is then the last one. 12, we can do 1 times 12. We can do 2 times 6. We can do 3 times 4, and that's all the pairs. The highest common factor in those lists is 6. So highest common factor is 6. What letters do we have in common? 1A, 2A, so we could bring 1A out. 2B's 1B, so we could bring 1B out. So the highest common factor is 6AB. Okay, now we haven't actually factorised anything yet. We were just practicing finding the highest common factor. So when we come over to the next page, this is what we want to factorise. Things like 6x plus 15. Now, we don't, or you probably won't have time to always write out the factor lists that we were doing here. So what you need to be able to do is look at the numbers that you're given here, 6 and 15, and you want to go, what is the highest factor that I could bring out of those? Often it's things like 2, 3, 5. It's never going to be bigger than the smaller number. So it's not going to be any bigger than 6, and 6 doesn't go into 15. So the highest number that would come out of 6 and 15 would be 3. Both of those numbers can divide by 3. The 3 will come out the front of a bracket, and we divide each of these terms to put the leftovers inside the bracket. 6 divided by 3 is 2 and the x, plus 15 divided by 3 is 5. Okay, and that's now factorised. You could times it back out again, and then you'd get back to your original question and see that it worked. Let's try B. 2 and 6. So remember, I said it could never be bigger than your smallest number. So 2 is the biggest it could be, and 2 is going to be my factor. Bringing the 2 out the front, if I divide the 2 out of the first term, I'll just have the x, plus divide 2 out of 6, and we get 3. Close bracket. Done. Question C, 10y minus 5. The smaller number is a 5, and 5 does work as a common factor. So bring the 5 out the front. 10 divided by 5 is 2y. Then 5 divided by 5 is 1, so minus 1. 16 and 24. 16 is the smaller number, but you can't divide 24 by 16, so we're going to have to go smaller than 16. So let's try 8. We can halve that and go to 8. 8 does go out of 24, so let's bring an 8 out the front. 16 divided by 8 is 2a, and 24 divided by 8 is 3. Question E. The smaller number is a 9, and 18 does divide by 9. So 9 is going to be my common factor for the number, but this time, for the first time, there's an x in both of them. So I'm going to have a letter factor as well of x. So 9x out the front. 18 divided by 9 is 2. The x is out the front, so the y will go inside. And then there's a minus sign. 9 divided by 9 is 1. X is out the front, so that cancels off. Okay, so anytime you take the whole number out the front, you do need to put a 1 at the end of the bracket. For F, we have 21 and 14, so it can't be bigger than 14 for my factor. 14 does not divide out of 21. But what about something like 7? 7's going to work. 21 divided by 7 is 3, plus 14 divided by 7 is 2k. G. We've got 27 as our smaller number, which is quite a big number. That's not going to work for 36 though. So another factor of 27 would be 3, but 3 is not big enough. 9 would be the bigger factor that you could use that works for 36 as well. So bring a 9 out the front. We also have an m in both of them, so m will be a factor out the front. Okay, let's open a bracket. 36 divided by 9 is 4. The m is out the front, so the n will go inside. Then minus 27 divided by 9 is 3, close bracket. Looking at h, we have 3 terms for the first time, and we can still factorize if we can find a factor that works for all 3 of them. So each of those numbers there can be divided by 5, and they all have an a, so the a is going to come out the front. Okay, open the brackets and let's put the leftovers inside. 15 divided by 5 is 3. The a is out the front, but the b will go inside. Next term, we have the plus. Now, 10 divided by 5 is 2. The a goes out the front, but the c will go inside. Then minus for the 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5. The a is out the front, so we just have done. We close the bracket. Question I. Now, there's only a 1 in front of that bracket there, so 1 is not going to be a factor because it won't make anything any smaller. So never try to bring out 1 as a factor. But the only thing we can bring out in this is some letters. We can bring out an x. There is an x in both of those terms. So from the first term, x squared means there's 2 x's here. If I have one of them out the front, the second one will need to go inside. Then plus 4x, the x is out the front, but the 4 will go inside, and that is factorized. Question J, 4x squared minus 6x. Looking at the 4 doesn't come out of 6, so let's make it smaller. Let's go down to 2. We can bring a 2 out the front, and they both have an x in them, so we're going to bring an x out the front as well. 4 divided by 2 is 2. From the x squared, one of the x's is here, the other one would need to go inside. Then minus 6 divided by 2 is 3, and the x is at the front, so close the bracket. Okay, we're nearly to the end now. Question 15. We're still factorizing, but these ones are in a separate section because they have minus signs at the front of all of them. So sometimes we are required to take a negative out as a factor as well. So in all of these ones here, we're going to bring a minus sign out. Okay, so because the minus sign here, the minus is going to come out as a factor. Also, 10 and 5 can be divided by 5, so 5 is going to come out as a factor, and we're going to put the leftovers inside. So because this minus has come out the front, there won't be a minus at the start of this bracket. 10 divided by 5 makes a positive 2 and the a. The second part of the bracket, 5 divided by minus 5, and you can type this in, 5 divided by minus 5 makes a negative 1. So bringing the minus sign out the front, remember when we expanded we saw this, the minus sign at the front changes the symbol inside the bracket. So that plus became a minus sign. And you could always check by expanding things out as well. Let's try again for B. We're going to bring the minus out as a factor. From 12 and 6, 6 could be the highest common factor. And then we're going to divide. The minus 12 divided by minus 6 is going to make a positive 2x. 6 divided by minus 6, type it in if you like, but that's going to make a negative 1. Question C, bringing the minus out as a factor. 21 and 14. 14 is smaller, but we can't divide 21 by 14. We could go down to 7. Also, there's an x in both of them, so let's bring the x out as a factor as well. The minus sign has come out the front. 21 divided by 7 is 3, and the x is also at the front. Okay, now the sign's going to change because 14 divided by minus 7 is minus 2. X squared, one of the x's is out the front, the second one will go inside. Question D, minus signs out the front. We have 36 and 24, so we're going to bring, can't be 24 because 24 doesn't go into 36, but 12. If you halve that, 12 would go into 36. Also, there is an x in both of those terms. Okay, open bracket. The minus sign's out the front. 36 divided by 12 is 3. X squared, one of them's here, one of them goes inside. Then the plus sign will change to be a minus because 24 divided by minus 12 is negative 2. The x is out the front, close the bracket. E. Again, minus sign out the front. The number 4 is the smaller number and 4 does go into 12, so 4 is going to be the factor. Opening up the bracket, 12 divided by 4 is a positive 3 and an x. Now, this sign started off as a minus sign, so if you bring it out the front, it's going to make a plus. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And F, minus sign out the front. 27 and 18. 18 is smaller, but 18 doesn't divide out of 27. 9. You have to divide that by, yep, go down to 9. So also there is an x in both of them. Open bracket. Minus from here, bringing out the front, so 27 divided by 9 is 3. The x is out the front, so we don't need another x. Then the minus from the question, again, you divide it by a minus sign, this is going to become a plus, changes the sign. 18 divided by 9 is 2. X squared here, taking one of the x's out the front, I need the second one inside the bracket. Close it up, and we're finished. Okay, I think there's one more question. We're nearly there. Question 16, a lot of examples today because we've gone through a lot of tricky things. But this is the last one. Factorize and then simplify. Let's definitely put a big star on this for a challenge question. Okay, factorizing means I'm just going to look at the top of this and I'm going to see what can I bring out of those two terms. Now, 10 is the smaller number and 10 can come out as my factor. If I do that, that's going to leave 100 divided by 10 is 10, and then minus 10 divided, that 10's out the front, so x here, close the bracket. So that was just the top. Now on the bottom, so let's look at the bottom now, 20 and 2, the 2 is the smaller number and the 2 can come out as a factor. If I divide by 2, 20 divided by 2 is 10, and the minus sign, 2 divided by 2 is out the front, and the x in here. So by factorizing, what's happened is that this bracket is exactly the same on the top and the bottom. And remember that you can cancel things off from the top and the bottom. So I could cancel that whole bracket, 10 minus x, cancels with 10 minus x. And that just leaves the 10 over 2. But what does 10 over 2 equal? 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. Okay, so a lot to process today. You need to get your workbooks out, please, and go to pages 22 through to 25.